Good morning and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Joe Maloney and I'm this week's service assistant.
And I'm Reverend Joanna Lubkin, minister here at All Souls Church.
A few etiquette things. We keep everyone on mute for the service, except for our time of sharing of joys and concerns.
If you're new to All Souls Church, please take a moment to click on the link in the order of service and the chat for our connection card so that we can stay in touch.
It's up to you if you want to turn your camera on and be seen. We do record the service, though joys and concerns shared won't be in the final recording.
Please feel free to chat in the chat box or to ignore it.
During the service, please feel free to get up, move around, or take a break from the screen as you need, but try to be present as possible and imagine we are all in the same room together.
Finally, remember that when you are invited to sing or to pray, to share or to chat, how you participate or don't is up to you.
After church, we have some time to say hello in breakout rooms.
Now, hear these words of welcome.
All who enter in a spirit of curiosity, love, and justice are welcome this morning.
Welcome to people who love God, people who don't believe in God, and people who live in the not knowing.
People who find a higher purpose deep inside, people who find it in a relationship with one another, and people who find it in the interdependence of all existence.
And all of the people in between.
Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify your gender or sexual orientation, wherever your life and faith journey has taken you, you are welcomed here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you understand the sacred, you bless us with your presence.
Now for our chalice lighting, we light our flaming chalice with words from Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with new each day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be, like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays, and ready to emerge with the new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. And we follow the All Souls tradition of lighting a green candle, symbolic of our commitment to being a green sanctuary congregation. May both these flames call us to kinship with and great care for the earth and her living creatures. As we center our hearts, let's sing our chalice song for April. We kindle this light.
We kindle this light in celebration for the life that we share. We kindle this light in celebration for the light that we share.
This morning, we celebrate the rising green of the earth, the everyday miracle of being brought back to life, and the connections and friendships that have loved us into being. Reverend Elizabeth Strong writes, "Out of the earth rises light, rises hope, rises spring. May we join in the miracle that is springtime and enter into life with lightness and joy. Out of the Spirit rises faith, rises hope, rises love. May we join with the miracle that is Easter time and enter into life with hope and love." As we at All Souls are in the peak of our stewardship campaign with the theme of Loved into Being, we also celebrate the ways that our church community has supported, challenged, and encouraged us. We'll hear brief video testimonials from 4 of our members today as they share in their own words how being a part of this spiritual community has shaped and encouraged them into who they are today. And so, to Reverend Strong's opening words, I add, out of our yearning for connection rises friendship, rises growth, rises welcome. May we join in the miracle that is community and enter into life with devotion. Let us resurrect with the spring. Let us rather resurrect with the Spirit, and let us resurrect through our connections and enter into renewed life as we gather together into our time of worship this Easter morning. So may it be. And in honor of all that rises from the earth and our spirits this spring, we sing our opening hymn, Rising Green. Beautiful. Thank you, Jacob. In the spirit of our stewardship theme, Loved into Being, we asked some of our members how being a part of All Souls Church has supported them, how it's changed them, and how it's helped them become who they are today. with gratitude for the courage that it takes to share what's on one's heart. We start with sharing the videos from Sarah Elstrom and George Goss.
Hello, All Souls Church. It's Sarah Elstrom. I've been going to All Souls Church since I was 10 years old, so about 17 to 19 years. All Souls Church is a second family. They've literally watched me grow and helped me become the person I am today, which I am very thankful for. Growing up, I was made aware of various social action issues and environmental issues from going to All Souls Church. Whether it was teaching me religious education about how important it is to take care of the planet, which helped me become the nature-loving person I am today. I was also shown diversity and acceptance from seeing and learning all the LGBTQ rights and marching in the Gay Pride Parade. That made me a more loving, accepting, and kind person. I also gained lots of political knowledge from the various talks at Coffee Hour, which helped me decide where I stand politically. All Souls showed me that some people don't have things as lucky as we do, and I am always thankful. With feeding the homeless or collecting school supplies or Christmas gifts for the less fortunate, I've learned to give back and to help others. I am very thankful for the support and everything I have learned in All Souls Church. Everyone in the community of All Souls Church holds a spot in my heart that is near and dear. Thank you.
This is George Goss. I find All Souls a community in which you can explore your faith and work with others to live your faith in practice. It's a community where you understand all God's children's got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high. Some just sit on a telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, applause, anything they got now. Join in if you'd like. All God's children got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high. Some just sing on a telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, applause, anything they got now. Thank you.
Thank you, George and Sarah. I love that as a theology. That's perfect. We'll hear more from two other congregants later. We're grateful for you all sharing yourselves and your stories. As a spiritual community, we journey together through life's ups and downs and hold each other in love. We take this time to reflect on our week, to recall the milestones, the joys, the concerns, the sorrows, and the changes in our lives and those in need of healing. If you have a heartfelt milestone or joy or sorrow that you'd like to share, you're invited to share aloud or in the chat. If you'd like to share aloud, you can come off mute, again by pressing the mute unmute button in the lower left corner of your screen. Please share your name and briefly express what's on your heart. If you're having trouble unmuting, you can give us a wave and we can try and help you from this end. After each person shares, I'll drop a stone in water, symbolic of the water gathered and blessed in this year's water ceremony. And finally, please know that this section won't end up in the final recording. What's shared now is kept only here in real time. All are welcome to share now. For all of the sorrows and all of the joys that we hold in our hearts, I'll drop one final stone to remember and to rejoice. I invite us to center our hearts with singing, "What Wondrous Love Is This?"
wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul. What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's crown, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, with thanks unto the end I will sing.
I invite you to join me now in a time of meditation and prayer, first in words, then in shared silence, and then in meditative music. Our words of meditation and prayer today are from Reverend Samuel Trombore. Eternal Spirit, we witness bringing green growth, throwing out tiny tendrils, seeking support. Sprouting thin twigs, reaching for the bright golden sun, guiding new tubers, seeking water in dark sandy soil. Be in and amongst us this Easter morning. We gather this morning to celebrate the triumph of life over death. The body can be killed, but the spirit cannot be quenched. Only yesterday had we given up all hope of the promise of the coming divine realm, and today we are renewed and inspired as we realize it is now already here. This morning we remember that pain, suffering, and death are not ends, but can be scary underground passageways to more abundant life. If we have the courage to face our fear and crawl through, to be pushed and pulled by the mind-narrowing forces of lust, hate, and confusion. This morning we renew our dedication to act from our love rather than our fear. We renew our faith in the inherent dignity and worth of all humanity, including ourselves, which cannot be removed from anyone, and seek the nerve to face the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune which may come our way. In our moments of defeat and surrender, may we turn away from the paths of revenge, denial, and cynicism. May we remember the eternal truth spun into the web of life, that our wounds can become sacred, incarnational teaching of the wisdom embodied in the story of resurrection. Let us celebrate together this morning the one who never gives up, even in the darkest night of winter, our blue-green planet Earth, resurrected anew each spring. Let us be together now in sacred silence. Thank you, John. So may it be, and amen. We now hear from Marge Kearns and Tom Barry, with appreciation for the chance to hear their voices and hear their stories.
Hello, my name is Marjorie Kearns. I have been a member of the church since 2002, I believe. When opening the door in 2001 to All-Star Church, I was opening myself up to a whole new experience. I found my soul brothers and sisters who are passionate about social justice. An active social action and environment committee was formed when Reverend Kathy Smits was our minister. In the preceding years, the committee took on environmental and justice concerns with many forums and activities. What changed in me was an understanding of what the LGBT community faced each day with discrimination and prejudice. The friendships and support bestowed on me will always stay in my heart. These gifts will forever be treasured. Thank you.
Having grown up in the church, how has that experience informed your adult life? How has being a part of All Souls Church changed you, supported you, or helped you grow?
Well, growing up in the church was fantastic. I think that it opened up my mind to the ways that a lot of different people lived, and rather than taking a dogmatic approach to religion, Unitarian Universalism takes a human approach and kind of just emphasizes how important it is to be kind to one another and the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Those are some of the things that I took away from the church growing up in it. I also took a strong sense of social activism, and I really care about what's going on. You know, as an adult now, I tend to stay abreast of what's going on in the world, especially the plight of people that are not treated well or who aren't helped equally by society. And I think that growing up in a church that pointed out a lot of those issues, as well as, you know, read from many different scriptures. You know, sometimes in Unitarian church, you'll have, scripture from the Bible, you'll have something from the Torah, you'll have something, from Buddhist religion, and kind of being exposed to that made me more open-minded and more open to the plight that some people face, especially being surrounded by similar, like-minded, open-minded, caring, and loving people like there are at All Souls Church.
Did that have anything to do with you joining the Marine Corps?
No, but it definitely had to do with the type of Marine that I tried to be and the type of mission that I tried to accomplish. As personally, I am very patriotic, and I know that a lot of the churches as well in their own ways. And growing up in the church, and hearing about the world and how it is really prepared me to go and see the world in the way I did, and it also helped me keep a positive mindset during hard times.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this little interview.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tom and Marge, for sharing your stories.
Each year, All Souls Church asks its members and friends to affirm their financial commitments to the congregation. These commitments allow us to continue our vibrant programs, support social justice, preserve our historic building, and pay our staff fairly for their hard work. Financial support from members and friends accounts for approximately 40% of the church's annual income. So our commitments during the annual stewardship campaign are essential to the Board of Trustees as it prepares the budget for the coming year. Last year, in the face of the pandemic, this congregation was more generous than ever before, collectively pledging over $50,000 to help sustain this community. In this unprecedented time, our small but resilient church has sustained our connections even when we cannot be physically with each other. All Souls has offered us meaningful opportunities for spiritual enrichment, social action, community, and friendship in new and innovative ways while we have been apart. And even as we eagerly await being back together in our sanctuary, Reverend Joe and church leadership are envisioning ways to keep using technology during in-person services that will allow our community members to participate in our services from further away. We are committed to staying together. Today, we've heard from 4 of our members how they've been loved into being at All Souls, and it's time for you to do the same. As you consider your pledge for next year, we invite you to reflect for yourself on what being a part of the All Souls community has meant to you. Have you been supported, accepted, challenged, nurtured, loved? Has All Souls given you a place to support others, to practice accepting people just as they are, to help others to grow and learn, and to be a loving friend and community member? What are you willing and able to give to help make sure this community can have its doors and hearts open for whoever finds it next? I thank the handful of people who have already submitted their estimate of giving form, establishing a strong foundation of $27,000. We're over halfway to our $50,000 goal. In these last 2 weeks of the stewardship campaign, which ends on April 18th, we ask that you complete your estimate of giving form. This is your best guess about what you plan to contribute financially over the next church year. All active members should have received the form by email or by paper mail over the past few weeks, but you can also click on the link to the form that's in the order of service and in the chat to access that form. And if all else fails, you can also just email me and let me know what your intention is to give. At this point, we're also going to take the time to pause to collect our weekly offering, the donations that combine with our pledges to keep our church afloat. You can give to the weekly offering online at the link in the order of service and in the chat, or you can have a meditative moment of writing out a check later on today and mailing it to the church. Thank you, friends, for your generosity and devotion to this community. You are loved and appreciated so very much.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, friends. What do Jesus and Mr. Rogers have in common? They both love their neighbors. I can't take credit for that opening line. Reverend Elizabeth Buki handed it to me when I told her about my sermon topic for today. It may seem like an unlikely pairing. Jesus of Nazareth, a religious reformer who lived 2,000 years ago and sparked a new religion, and Reverend Fred Rogers of Pittsburgh, a children's television host and Presbyterian minister who spoke slowly and played with puppets. But bear with me, both of them are on my mind this Easter morning. Easter is a complicated holiday for Unitarian Universalists, theologically speaking. Historically, Unitarian theology proclaimed Jesus to be a moral exemplar and a great teacher, but not any more divine than any of the rest of humanity, and not one who was physically brought back to life 3 days after he was killed. Some say that Unitarians were more interested in Jesus' life than in his death. So, if Easter is the holiday in the Christian calendar that celebrates Jesus' resurrection, what do you do with that? What we can do is see the resurrection story as a powerful parable, a vivid metaphor for helping us understand deep truths about life. While we may not believe in bodily resurrection, I imagine that most of us know the feeling of being brought back to life when we were deep in despair. When I was in seminary studying to be a minister, I went through a really rough bout of depression, just truly struggling to stay afloat in my classwork, in my internship, in my relationships, sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground. I know I'm not alone in having had that kind of experience. Whether it be from depression or grief or loss, I know many of you can relate. When I look back at that time, I always think of one turning point moment. I was at a service with the Sanctuary Boston, a worship community grounded in Unitarian Universalism that has been a fixture of my life since its first service in 2012. So this was a day I'd been having a particularly rough time. I think I'd been crying a fair amount during the music rehearsal we had before the service. After the homily, which I don't remember, the house band started playing the opening notes of Hezekiah Walker's song, "I Need You to Survive," and the tears came immediately. If you don't know the song, it comes out of the Christian gospel tradition, and among other things, it's been lifted up as an anthem by the Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism community. It was a song I already loved, and then hearing my bandmates and friends, Michael and Lelena, sing it, just tugged at my heart. When we humans start crying, many of us have a tendency to look away, to kind of turn inward, and I was no different. I was looking at the floor, at the ceiling, anywhere but at the people. But partway through the verse, I could tell that my friend Michaela was trying to get my attention. Michaela was a classmate of mine in seminary, and she had witnessed how hard it had been for me. Since the seats at Sanctuary Boston were arranged in a U shape, she was standing directly across from me. To this day, years later, I remember how Michaela locked eyes with me, and even as she sang along with everyone else who was there, I knew she was singing this to me. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. In that moment, she was reminding me that I was needed, that I was loved, and that there could be a way to survive. And I looked around and I saw a whole room full of people singing it to each other, saying that each person there was important and needed and loved. It remains one of the most powerful moments of connection in worship that I've ever experienced. And that's the power and the potential of our spiritual communities. Creating containers to hold all of our sorrows and our joys, our grief and our celebration. Offering spaces where we can be cared for and accepted just as we are, with all of our fears and our gifts and our quirks. Congregations can be a place where people come together from across differences of age, race, class, gender, sexual orientation, and culture to form unlikely connections with one another. And we hope that these connections, these friendships, can help bring each other back to life when we are in need of renewal. Now, whether or not we have our own personal stories, specifically of this church community being there for us in our toughest moments, I believe that each of us know the experience of someone in our lives being supportive, encouraging, and caring during hard times. As you've heard, the theme for our stewardship campaign is called Loved into Being. And the first place I heard that phrase was from Mr. Rogers. See, I promised you I'd come back around. On his children's television show and in regular life, Fred Rogers was a master at expressing love, care, and appreciation. His quiet, gentle presence seemed to bring out the best in those around him. He is one of my heroes. There's this special practice that Mr. Rogers invited people into. You can see recordings of it from commencement addresses and award acceptances, even from Tom Hanks as he plays Mr. Rogers in the recent biopic, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers calls it an invisible gift. It's a gift I'd like to offer to us. Will you join me in this practice now? In the words of Mr. Rogers, all of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Some of them may be here right now. Some may be far away. Some may even be in heaven. But wherever they are, if they've loved you and encouraged you and wanted what was best in life for you, then I believe that they are right here inside you. Would you just take, along with me, one silent minute to think about the people who have helped you become who you are, those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you? One silent minute. I'll watch the time. whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to know the difference that you feel they've made. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Beloveds, on this Easter Sunday, may we see in the resurrection story our own stories of being brought back to life and an invitation to be a part of each other's renewals. Our spiritual community offers us the chance to be loved into being. May we give thanks for those who have brought us back to life when we were sinking down. May we reach out to one another to remind each other that we are important, we are needed, and we are loved. May we send out love to those around us and feel it coming back to us. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Amen. In honor of that life abundant and life renewing, let's sing our closing hymn together. Lo, the earth awakes again. Our video of this hymn is shared with permission from the UU Church of Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Lo, the earth awakes again, alleluia, from the winter's bond and pain, alleluia, bring relief and flower and spring, alleluia, to adorn this happy day, alleluia. Once again the world comes true, alleluia. All the earth shall be made new, alleluia. Now the dark cold days are o'er, alleluia. Spring and gladness are before, alleluia. Change then mourning into praise, alleluia. And for dirges anthems raise, alleluia. Our spirits soar and sing, alleluia. Our hearts leap with the spring, alleluia.
Our benediction today is from Alex Holt. For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you find in the darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, together we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone aside reminds us that we are far more powerful than we could ever be on our own. Our offering of strong hands to help our prayers made real. Let us begin again to love. Go in peace. I love you just the way you are.
Let's go. good feeling when you're able to find people who like to play the kinds of things you like to play. That's one thing that helps to make friends, playing together. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that I'll be back when the day is new, and I'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. You always make each day such a special day. You know how? By just your being you. Only one person in the whole world like you. That's you yourself. I'll be back next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone for being here. Our final ritual together is the ritual of invitations or announcements. So there's a number of ways to be connected this week. No need to be lonely. If you're able to join these, you are most warmly welcome. None of these are closed groups. They are all truly delighted when somebody who hasn't been before or hasn't been in a while joins. So this week, just so folks know, the connection circle that had been on Tuesday begins meeting on Monday. So just change that in your calendars. It'll be at 3:30. That connection circle is more of kind of an informal conversation. Tuesday afternoon or evening at 7 p.m., the book group meets and they'll be discussing The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which is an amazing novel. Wednesday evening, the development committee is meeting at 6:30 p.m. And then Friday is our second connection circle social time. This one is more of a facilitated discussion, kind of looking at a topic together. So feel free to come to both or either, kind of choose your own adventure style. And then on Saturday, from 2 to 4 p.m., I'll be facilitating a whole community conversation in which we look together at what community care might look like. By this, I mean, this is a loving, sweet, caring church community that does a great job of reaching out to each other when we know that somebody's having a tough time, is ill, or has something to celebrate. But I wonder if there might be structures that could help us support each other with more ease. This is a world where we could all use all of the love and support we can get. So this will build on the work that we started last month with our covenant conversation, but you don't need to have been to that. You can just come. If you need to come late or leave early, that's also okay. But we hope we'll see you on Saturday. And then finally on Sunday, a week from today, our service will be led by the writing group and sharing kind of some of their own reflections from their own spiritual writing. It's going to be a very moving service. I encourage you all to come, check it out, cheer each other on, and maybe get inspired to do some writing of your own. Are there any church-related announcements that I've missed? Kelly, if you have a drumming circle link, if that's happening today.
Yes, drumming circles at 9 o'clock my time, 12 o'clock your time. I had to count on my fingers. And we have a great time. It's not a traditional gathering. We chit-chat, we play music too. Last week it was Nirvana. And we just have a good time. Music is music and the feeling comes.
Thank you so much for extending that invitation. I want to thank everybody who participated in the service, especially the 4 folks who recorded and sent in your testimonials. So that was Sarah Elstrom, George Goss, Marge Kearns, and Tom Berry. Thank you to Alicia for editing those and for doing tech today. Thank you to Mary for hosting, Jacob for doing the music, and Joe for being service assistant. I'm really grateful for each of you. Maureen, did you mean to raise your hand or did you just do that? Yep. Great, over to you.
I wanted to invite people to join us next Saturday at 11 o'clock in front of Quincy City Hall. There's going to be a standout against anti-Asian prejudice.
Excellent. Maureen, if you have the info for that, will you forward it to me? I'll ask if I can get it in Maggie's weekly email on time. I'd love for that.
Yes, Maggie and I have already been in touch, and she will be including it.
Perfect. So check your emails if you need the reminder to get it into your calendar. Thank you for that. I'm glad that's happening.